Welcome to 12 in Our Schools, found only here on News 12 New Jersey. I'm Brian Jenkins. Remember comedian Rodney Dangerfield and his classic refrain, "I tell you, I get no respect." Well, it's a line more often quoted by teachers, parents, and other authority figures as they agonize over how to cope with a growing number of disrespectful kids. We'll take those kids to the woodshed for some good old-fashioned discipline, you say? Not so fast. My first guest today, Ron Schwally, has other ideas. He's a creator and founder of Schwalife Skills. It's a program that includes instruction aimed at getting kids to show a little respect. Thanks a lot for joining us today,
My
Ron.
pleasure. Thank you for having me.
You've got a lot of things listed in that program, and I wanted to cover some specifics.
Sure.
Number one, the importance of being an authority figure versus a friend.
Absolutely. A lot of times people make the mistake that when you try to be friends with the child, a lot of people want them to have the children to like them, when in turn it turns out that when you command respect from a child, even while giving them instructions, it turns out the child actually likes you more, looks up to you more, and respects you more, which is extremely paramount in this society.
So there are expectations that kids have, and we might not know it.
Absolutely. I mean, whenever you see children, a lot of times they play army, or a lot of times they play cops and robbers, and they love saluting. They love that whole discipline and respect issue that sometimes people think isn't the correct avenue to go with children.
Mm-hmm. Now, you started this as a fun fitness training program for kids and kind of developed this other part of the program. What was behind that?
Well, what happened was when I started doing the fun fitness programs, the majority of our programs we do were in preschools, where we focused on having to deal with that epidemic of childhood obesity. But as I was developing the programs and teaching, I'm learning and I'm watching that I could be working with a classroom of 20 children, and if one child who needs that extra attention more than some of the other children is not getting that attention, these kids, whether they're 3, 4, 5, or 6 years old, they're smart enough to figure out a way how to get the attention from a teacher or from a parent. Mm-hmm. If they do something that is geared towards as positive and the teacher can't focus on them because there's 20 other children, they knock something over, they start crying, they do something disrespectful, and now the teacher has no choice, but she has to focus on that child. And these kids are so smart that they will focus and remember, well, you know what? This works for me. This works, this doesn't work. And then they'll continue it, because if it's successful for them and now they're getting all that attention, why would they stop?
Right, that makes sense. Now, you talk in some of your literature about the cycle of respect.
Absolutely.
Take us through that a little bit.
Well, the first thing I always talk to teachers and parents about is that if you want children to show respect, you have to give them respect. When a parent or a teacher is talking about a child, when the child is in the room and they don't think that child is listening, I absolutely do not agree. I think that child is listening and that child is focusing. So when you're talking about respect, giving the same respect to a child, they're going to get that same respect back.
Now, is that where that starts in the cycle here that we're looking at on the screen?
Absolutely. So we're talking about respect to others. When we're giving that respect, we're getting that same respect back. And also respecting the child. If we're talking about acknowledging their potentials, if we look at it as a child is only 3 years old and this is all that they can do, and that child can accomplish a lot more, it kind of hinders that child, and that child wants to express themselves more. Allowing for their potentials to arise is something that a teacher should definitely do. When we think of something, oh, well, maybe this child can't do this, or we can only have a 6-year-old do that, you would be amazed, and I'm sure there are parents, teachers out there, that children have spoken and said things out of their mouths when they're 3 and 4 years old that wasn't expected of a 10-year-old.
Right.
So a lot of times it's just allowing, instead of having a closed mind and thinking, well, this is the only way it can be, having an open mind, where I was talking to somebody today about they're an outside-the-box thinker. I look at myself as there is no box, as allowing for a possibility that children can accomplish anything that they want to do as long as you give them the opportunity to do it.
Now, in fairness to teachers who
Absolutely.
might have a class full of, say, 15, 20 kids,
Mm-hmm.
4-year-olds, let's say.
Right.
How do you pick up on those kids who need a little more versus those who don't need as much and accomplish that balance?
Well, see, it's not really about picking up, because that child will let you know. When I had an instructor about 1.5 years ago go into a school and 2 children were being disrespectful, he came up to me, he's like, I want to call the mother, I want to call the teachers, they're doing something wrong. And I said, you can look at it that way, as it's the parent's fault, but that doesn't give power to the children, and that doesn't give power to you. What I look at is, if a child, you walk into a school, and we have these things called poly spots, you put them on the ground, and you tell all the children to stand on them. If one child then hits hits the ground, or one child puts a spot on their head, or they're tapping, they're doing something disrespectful, I say, have the teacher or the parent look at that child as that child saying, excuse me, I need a little more help with discipline, I need a little more help with respect. It's not usually picking up on it, because the child will come out and with something physical or with something through verbal, they will let you know. I need more attention, please give me more attention. Then it's up to the teacher or the parent to figure out a way how to make that child either be a helper or how to give them extra attention, because look, not every child is different. Not every child is the same. Every child is different, and there are the Edisons and the Einsteins in the world that are meant for success, and they're meant for great things. And if we suppress their self-expression, and if we suppress their energy, and we look at them as you should be this way, you should be that way, it kind of takes away from what that child's potential could almost be.
Now, how do you bring the parent into this equation, especially those of us who may be from the woodshed era?
Understood. See, these kids are different. They're quicker, they're faster, they're sharper, they process a lot quicker. So what I do is I talk to the parents about, first of all, you can't change the child, you can only change yourself. What are you doing to have the child show these behaviors? A lot of times parents, number one, it's the expressions, it's the look. A lot of times parents say, I want my child to see that I'm frustrated. I want my child to see that I'm upset. But in the children's eyes, they just see a reaction and they win. So what I do is the first thing I do is see what you're doing that reinforces it. Where I had a situation, there was a parent who told me, my 1.5-year-old slaps me in the face. What do I do? Exactly. And that same expression came across all the other people in that seminar. And I said, well, first of all, where did that child learn that behavior? And she said, my 4-year-old was doing it. And I told her, well, now, when you react, when that child does it, what do you do? And she said, I get upset, I get angry. When you do that, what happens? He gets happy and he smiles. I said, got it. So if you want to really get that child to stop doing it, you have to stop reacting. And the way that I have people stop reacting is what I teach is called the mother's look. Everyone has had a mother, and people know what that mother's look is, where they could be in a room and they can have that mother's look hit them from the back of the head, and all of a sudden they feel it. Where the first thing I do is I teach through unemotional responses to a negative behavior. So right now, if I'm communicating with you, when you're being with a human being, we're talking and looking at each other's eyes. But if I want to discipline, I don't look at your eyes. I teach parents and teachers, look right at the top of the forehead. So there's a difference between a look like this, where you can see my eye squint and I'm happy and communicating, and a look like this.
With just total lack of expression.
Total lack. And what that does, it doesn't give any expression from my face, but what it does, it has your brain start going and start thinking, what am I thinking? What is he doing? Am I judging? Am I doing this? Am I doing that? So when a child is being disrespectful, when a child is doing a positive example, I will go, I love the way you're doing that. Good job. I like the way you're doing that. Good job. And the second I see a negative behavior that I don't approve of, it's good job, good job. Good job, good job. And all of a sudden, that child is now not getting that facial reinforcement that they're used to. Right. Then you implement rules, and that's the other situation I talk about, that when we implement rules, of course, and we say we're going to do something by this time, every parent and teacher follows through 100% of the time, which majority of the time doesn't happen, but these kids are smart enough to know that. And then we have different ways how to get the children to do what we want them to do, and basically what we do is we tell them. I have a system. One of the things that's the easiest way to do for parents, teachers, try, I like the way. If I say to you, I like the way you're doing this, I like the way you're doing that, a child will see another child doing that and they'll jump into it, because as human beings, we just want to be liked. I never met you for the first time. I wanted you to like me. You wanted me to like you. When you go to a restaurant, you want the waiter to like you, just that basic human need. So when you have all these kids and you just tell them, I like the way you're doing that, even though if none of the children are doing it, you'll watch 15, 20 children pile onto the floor or do exactly the behavior that you want them to do, because in the child's eyes, they want that teacher or parent, they want them to be liked. And it's amazing how effective it works. That's one of 4 ways of giving directions that we have.
That's great psychology.
Absolutely.
I remember that. I like the way you do that. Okay.
Thank you.
We hope that you like the way we're doing this show. Still to come on 12 in Our Schools, we'll see how Delta Dental is taking a message of good oral health into the schools with gleaming results. Stay with us.